We made it, ladies and gentlemen! Congratulations! 1,000 videos here on the coverkillernation channel. Thank you so much for even making this possible by actually watching this shit. I want to thank you guys. I want to give you guys something that a couple of you have clamored for, something that's probably a long time coming. We're going to talk about 10 albums that I absolutely hate today, and we're going to have some fun with it. We're going to stick with the metal scene and the metal scene alone, because if we go outside of the metal scene and include that, this list goes from 10 to like 5,000. And as much as some of you would probably love to see that, I don't have the time, the battery power in my camera, nor the wind in my lungs to talk about all those albums in one sitting. I would go hoarse, and there's a good chance I would have cardiac arrest and die. Some of you might like that too, I don't know. We're going to do this in no particular order. This is not a traditional top 10 list where we're going to assign rankings from 10 to 1. Instead, we're just going to go and get it done. The first one we're going to talk about is one we never talked about here on the channel, and something that some of you have wondered why I have never done that. I just never have. Cold Lake by Celtic Frost. Celtic Frost, of course, one of the most influential bands of the dark metal, the dark side scene, throughout the course of its history, ever since the 1980s. And this is an album that really just took all the momentum that they had with their previous few and just kind of sliced it, diced it, and destroyed it. This is one that had a little bit more of a glam-centric to it. It was something that really seemed to go right along with what was going on within the quote-unquote metal scene and the big metal scene at the time. Tom Fisher himself has not been happy with this record. It was something that was different. It was something that was wild. It was something that was off the wall, and nobody liked this. This is an album that if you find somebody that likes it, you should probably punch them in the face, but then shake their hand directly afterward for being both an idiot and also a trooper. This is an album that definitely, for all intents and purposes, stains an otherwise perfect discography for Celtic Frost, and especially after you consider the fact that they came back in the 2000s and put forth for us the monumental Monotheist album that was just tremendous. Another one, and we're going to get into everybody's favorite band to talk shit on. We're going to be talking about Metallica. Now, I am prefacing this. I must preface this because I have to preface this. I preface this because many people, many individuals, whenever you do research on the 10 worst metal albums, or whatever you want to call it, many people will almost unanimously include one of these two. Most people actually don't include the second one, which is kind of strange. But a lot of people include Load and Reload for no reason, aside from the fact that it was signaling the descent of Metallica after the Black Album. There was no actual argument as to why the albums themselves were bad. They were just pissed off because Metallica went from the Black Album and after the very first 4 albums, from Kill 'Em all the way up to Injustice for All, and then they went to something that was a little bit different. They had to build off of the success of the Black Album and did something with it that was a little bit different, that was more in a conventional hard rock / blues rock direction with Metallic influences. Yeah, that's a stupid fucking reason to hate a goddamn album, and whoever posted that is a moron just for posting it that way and not actually performing any sort of judgment for it aside from their own selfish fact. And here is the reason why: because the 2000s output, 2 of them at least, are way worse than Load and Reload ever could have been. If you thought that it was bad, well, guess what, baby? It got a whole hell of a lot worse. Lulu is definitely one that we could talk about all day, every day. We've already reviewed it twice. I've already reviewed it twice on this channel. 2 of 1,000. That means that 1/500th of this channel is dedicated to me talking about goddamn Lulu. And here we are, mentioning it again. We all know this is a bucket of shit. The real sad thing here is that it's the last thing that Lou Reed recorded before he died late last year. So that's kind of a tragedy right there, considering Lou Reed, his discography is just fantastic. It's one that I was going to cover on the blog and never did because I ran out of time and ran out of effort and patience and blah, blah, blah. But this album is just balls. It's 2 CDs long. It's over, 90 minutes or whatever it is, and it's just bad. It's really, really bad. These things drone on and on and on. There's very little musical value on here, and the storytelling is just it's either Lou Reed shines, Metallica shines, or nobody shines. It's definitely not something where it seems that everything cohesively came together in a way that was really really just strong. I mean, this was something that had terrible and negative value. I pooped all over it twice already, so we all know that the second one is going to be Saint Anger. Saint Anger is what started this goddamn channel. Saint Anger is the reason why we are here, where we are today. I've reviewed it 3 goddamn times, and not all on this channel, though all of those videos do exist on this channel. The first one was actually from the old Cover Killer channel from before all of this. I don't even know how many videos were on that channel, so we're probably way over 1,000. But we reviewed it there. We did a re-review of it right whenever coverkillernation launched, and then we did it again whenever we did the Metallica discography in 2013. We all know how I feel about this disc, but we also know, if you saw the review from 2013, that in retrospect, whenever you look back after the past 10 years, because that album is now 10 years old, there is a lot worse shit out there. If anything, Saint Anger really proved to be the tip of the bullshit iceberg, and it was something where we, as a collective culture of music fans, were on the Titanic, and we were just heading right for it. Saint Anger was at the bottom like, no, don't hit this. If you hit this, this iceberg will explode, and bullshit will just fly every which way. We'll have emo, we'll have terrible, really boring country music. We'll have fucking disco rap, or fucking dubstep rather, not disco. If it was disco rap, that might be kind of cool. We're gonna have Nicki Minaj and Lil Wayne. We're gonna have dubstep. We're gonna have Skrillex. Oh my god, we're gonna have Blood on the Dance Floor and the Black Veil Brides. We're gonna have fucking Amur. Let's talk about Amur. Why don't we just stop talking about Saint Anger? This is the 4th time. We're talking 250th of the goddamn videos on this channel. How about Amur? Slave of the Game was the only album that I've ever reviewed on this channel, and that's all that I really need. Am I going to review future discs? You bet your ass I'm going to. If only to spread the message that this band sucks ass, and basically if you're trying to be the Fred Durst or the Limp Bizkit of heavy metal, just stop. Just don't do that. We don't want that. I don't even think Fred Durst wants that. I don't even think that Limp Bizkit wants that. Wes Borland is probably telling you to shove it straight up your ass and fuck yourself for all you care. You know, swallow a bunch of pills, swallow some poison, drag a knife across your neck, and just end it all. Because you don't want to be that. You don't want to be that. We don't want that. Well, apparently some of us do. Apparently there are some individuals in this world that do, because these guys still sell. These guys are still widely respected, even though Frankie Palmieri's a fucking idiot, and even though the rest of the band sucks. This is a terrible album. This is a terrible discography. I went through all of it. Why did I do that? Because apparently I'm some sort of goddamn sadist. But I did it for you guys, and oh man, never again. Never again. Why do I do these things to myself? I have definitely shortened my lifespan thanks to this goddamn bullshit. But you know what? I do it also for the love of music, and I'm going to touch base with all the other albums because of a love of music, and because I know that evolution is sometimes possible. This one you might not know about. It's from a band called Switched, and the album is entitled Subject to Change. This was one that came out in the early part of the 2000s. It's very, very underground, even though it sold about 100,000 copies. Surprise, surprise. This is really more nu metal in vein, so this is one that's really on the fringe line whenever it comes to traditional metal, and many people would say the same about Amur, but they are more metal than this. Whenever you think of nu metal, you think of the bands such as, you know, the big ones. You think of Disturbed, you think of even Slipknot, you know, you think of all of that, and you think that, you know, you've heard it all before. It's all something where there's a certain level of suckiness to it because there's kind of a similarity process going on where perhaps the only identifiable force is the voice, either that or some of the musical tones. Korn is a great example of that, where there's a little bit of a thicker bass that goes behind it. With Switch, there was just nothing there that had musical value, period. This is a god-awful album. This is absolutely wretched by nu metal standards. This is something that it scrapes the bottom of the generic barrel and then pisses some more in, and then scrapes that, and then pisses some more, and there you see how the album was constructed. That's exactly what it is. This value of this album is not even worth that being a coaster. It's not even worth being a frisbee for your fucking dog. I've done these jokes before, but it's so goddamn true. You shouldn't even hit this with a baseball bat. You should do everything that you can to avoid it. Now let's talk about another one. Let's talk about one that we never got to because we never finished the goddamn Black Sabbath discography from 3,000 years ago. Forbidden by Black Sabbath from 1995. I originally thought about putting Never Say Die on this because I'm not a big fan of that album either, but man, Forbidden is just atrocious. This was an album that really showed a Black Sabbath that was just kind of disheveled. This is one thing where they were not collectively in the studio at the same time. They were working with the producer was a gentleman from Body Count, Ice-T from Body Count, was doing some vocals on some songs, and Rap Sabbath actually happened. That's right, there was rapping on a Black Sabbath song. I'm not fucking kidding. I'm not making this shit up. You can go and visit it. It's pretty freaking terrible. This is an album that's been dismissed by the band themselves, so this is almost one where you can't really make fun of it all of that much. All you can really say is that this was a experiment that went horridly wrong. This was one that really didn't need to happen. However, it did happen, and because of that, we do have to talk about it. And so, there you go. Speaking of experiments that went horridly wrong, the one thing that brought a lot of you to this channel, and still brings a lot of you to the channel, I thank you for all that. But goddamn, I never ever thought that this would be what would bring you all to the channel. Morbid Angel and Lud Divinium Insanus. I don't know if it's just the way in which I presented it. I don't know if it's just because the album was really that bad or had that much of an appeal, that many people were excited for it, were disappointed by it. I really don't know. I will never understand this. No matter if I live to be 2 billion years old and just do nothing but think about it and try to understand it for the 2 billion years of my existence, it will never happen. It never will, but I'm thankful for it, but this album still is a piece of shit. I revisited this album just a couple of months ago, thinking to myself, gee, I wonder if maybe this is an album that gets better with age. Kind of like what Saint Anger did. No, not at all. This is still something that has just a couple of tracks that has some minor value to it that really reminds you a lot of the Morbid Angel that you love, only it's kind of dilapidated down. I mean, they're just not bad. They're not classic tracks by any stretch of the imagination, but they're not necessarily full blown out stinkers. And then you have the ones that are just fucking obnoxiously bad. Then you have the Radicals. The fuck still is that? I don't know what the fuck that is. You know, what the fuck? We Are Morbid. Just watch the goddamn video. I cannot represent my words better than I did on that day in 2011 whenever I recorded the review for that. That was pure unadulterated what the fuckness. I can't even do that now because the words are just they're everywhere. I don't know. But this album was balls. It was malarkey. And I'm still waiting for a follow-up. I'm waiting for a follow-up because I don't know what to expect. I don't know what to expect from you guys. I don't know what to expect from the band. And I don't know what to expect from myself. This whole thing sounds like it's pretty goddamn scary. It kind of is, but at the same time, it's kind of alluring. I kind of want to know what's going to happen next. It's one of those things where you witness the train wreck and you still see some people wiggling around and you're wondering, I wonder if they're going to live or by me not doing anything, they're going to die. Let's just stand here and watch and see. It's kind of just like that. Slayer. A lot of you want me to do a Slayer discography. Do you really want me to do this? Do you really want me to do this? Diabolus in Musica is on this list. It's one of the worst albums I've ever heard. Slayer has this tremendous discography until you hit the Diabolus in Musica, and then it just screeches to a goddamn halt. This is some generic shit. This is something that, once again, it kind of was an adaptation to the times. Very similar to what we're talking about with Celtic Frost, only this is Slayer. Slayer doesn't adapt to the times. Slayer is in the band. They're a band that's uncompromising. They're a band that's all about unleashing brutality. This was not a brutal album by any stretch of the imagination. This was a hunk of bullshit. This was a pile of vomit that a rhinoceros slipped and tripped on, is starting to roll around in, and then a bear just decides to come by and just looks at it and is just like, I'm not fucking touching that. I don't want to touch that, but if you guys really, really want me to, if you guys really, really want me to, I can do that, and this will seem like I have spared them. I have spared Slayer because I might get killed by one of their fans or by Kerry King. No, it ain't gonna happen, but I will. If you really, really want me to, put it in the comments below. Slayer discography. That's going to be fun. And then we're going to talk about, last but not least, certainly not least, we're talking about Queensryche. And we're talking about the streak that Queensryche really has had lately. And we're not going to talk about the self-titled album that came out with Todd La Torre, because that is actually a fantastic disc. Todd La Torre with the remainder of Queensryche. We're talking about Queensryche whenever Jeff Tate was basically the master and commander of the Queensryche universe that basically, as I so eloquently said many months ago, practically felt as though he cloned himself and he was the whole entire band. Yeah, Jeff Tate is a dick to the magnitude that I can't even describe. It's absolutely fucking phenomenal that this is even possible. I loved Queensryche. I still kind of do have an affinity for them because of their old classic material and also because of the new self-titled album that is Tateless. But Jesus fucking Christ, between 1995 and just this past year, it has been a nightmare. It has been an absolute nightmare. Dedicated to Chaos in 2011, was the only album out there that could actually somehow be, in my mind at least, Lulu and Elud Divinium Insanus as the worst album of the year, and that's principally, I think, because Queensryche was a band that even up to that point, even up to the point of Dedicated to Chaos, even though I knew the material was really going south, and that includes Mindcrime 2, I am not dismissing Mindcrime 2 from that, because that album was a disappointment as well. This was a band that I still had a tremendous amount of respect for and didn't feel as though they were going to fuck up that bad. And man, was I wrong. I was blindsided by a train. I was hit by a bus. Monkeys came around from all directions, 10 or 12 of them, and just flung poo right in my face, and I had to take it like a little goddamn bitch. It was like monkey bukkake all up in my face, and that's fucked. That's fucked. And then F-U happens. F-U happens. It's so boring and direct. F-U. F-U as the Queensryche. I'm Jeff Tate. Let me masturbate all over some instruments and call it an album and put it out before you because I did it first. So that makes me better. No, it doesn't, Jeff Tate. It makes your album a boring, washed out piece of wussy crap that sucks more dick than goddamn Liberace and every other gay man combined. And let me tell you something, I love the gay population. I love the LGBT. I am a fierce supporter of you guys. I want you guys to have equal rights. But Jeff Tate, he's one of the bad ones. He's one of the bad ones. That bald-headed motherfucker. Rob Halford is looking at him like, bitch stole my haircut and sucks more dick than I do. This is fucking retarded. God! I still can't believe how bad F.U. was, and I still will never be able to believe the atrocity of Dedicated to Chaos. Last but certainly not least, there is no more albums. However, there is something that I must say to you guys, considering what I talked about whenever we discussed Metallica in the early goings of this video. What is it with all of these worst of lists, including bands, they're worst of metal lists, they're including bands that do not have any sort of metal affiliation whatsoever? I can understand those that are including bands such as Slipknot or Korn, because those are what you would consider fringe bands to some. To most, actually, of the extreme metal genre, they're more fringe bands, considering they're more new metal and, you know, this new stuff that they really can't get behind. You know, if it's not recorded inside of a coffin, which has been locked inside the ground, which has then been encased by a glass case and, you know, is being buried with more dirt, then it's not good. But I can understand those. But people are seriously including shit like Nickelback on these lists. Nickelback ain't metal. Nickelback will never be metal. Nickelback will never be metal. It has never been metal. And if they put out a metal album, it still won't be metal. We can make jokes about Nickelback. I'm not going to make jokes about Nickelback because of this. I'm actually going to make jokes about the people that put Nickelback on these lists. You know why Nickelback is one of the worst metal albums of all time on your list? Because it ain't fucking metal, you idiot. Duh. Jesus fucking Christ. How many times do we have to explain to people? And I know that genre classification, all that bullshit is really kind of stupid and fucked up. It's a matter of opinion and this and that and these and those. I get it. I understand. I've been doing this for a long time, guys. I really have. But whenever you're trying to put a band that is actually more of a rock band, that really has more of a vein towards classic rock, that really belongs on a list that includes bands such as Zeppelin, that includes bands such as the Beatles, that includes the Eagles, you know, the Kinks, you know, the Cure, David Bowie, you know, people like that. I know that it's even just, it hurts just to even say that, but Nickelback belongs on a list of rock bands, you know, worst rock albums. If you want to make a worst rock albums list, then go right ahead and throw Nickelback on there and just hate as much as you want. You know, Nickelback, say what you say, and I've said my own share. You know, they have made basically the same album again and again and again. And you know what? That's one of the reasons why they're successful. AC/DC has done the same goddamn thing since Back in Black. Don't even fucking deny it. But here's the thing. They're not metal. You can't put them on a metal list and expect to be taken seriously. There are lists on the internet that basically are horrendously bad. Just Google one from Yahoo Answers and you'll know exactly what I mean. This one is retarded. Fear of the Dark by Iron Maiden is on there. Listen, it's not the best Iron Maiden album, but it certainly is no slouch. It's certainly better than a lot of albums that are out there, including each and every one that I just talked about. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. 1,000 videos in. I'm perspirating like a motherfucker, and if we kind of calculate all the times that I've been pooped on during this fucking review or, you know, this list, I probably smell wretched. So I am going to go take a shower, and I'm going to hopefully be bringing to you another 1,000 Cover Killer Nation videos in the coming years. I thank you all for being subscribers, and also for those of you who perhaps are viewing for the very first time. For those of you who have just come on board, please hit the subscribe button and hit the like button downstairs below this video. It definitely helps me a great deal, and it just helps the channel grow, and helps me do more for you guys. So I thank each and every one of you for being here with me, no matter how long it's been, whether this is the first video for you or if you've been here since video number 1 and this is your 1,000th Cover Killer Nation video. I am totally 100% appreciative of everything you guys have done for me. Without you guys, I am not here as far as 1,000 videos into the Cover Killer Nation channel, but also I am not here in the sense that there would be a tremendous void from my life, to be honest, because I wouldn't be able to talk about the one thing I love the most, which is music. That is, you know, excluding my girlfriend, of course, but that's, you know, and I wouldn't be able to do so and really help you guys, you know, find some decent artists, some new artists, some people that you've perhaps never heard of, or entertain you guys. This is just a lot of fun. I can't imagine myself doing anything else. And thank you very much, and have a good one.